Hi, I'm John, reporting in from IntroCar, the home of prestige parts. Some of you will know a little bit about this range that I've got in front of me today. It's some of the products we've had on the market for a while, but there's been a few additions and updates, so I thought I'd just give you something, a little bit more information. Anyone who's watched some of our blogs will know that we've already produced some of the Silver Shadow 2 and T2 and Corniche quarter bumper mouldings. These have been in the range for a little while now. These have been around for around about, I think about 18 months or so. That's the centre moulding for the front and back. That's fitted to the Shadow 2, T2 and the Corniche. Here we have a rear quarter bumper for the Shadow 2 and T2. Here is front quarter bumper, and this is the one that's fitted to the later Corniche, which is distinguished by this kind of scallop here. Quite an unusual, not fitted to many cars, but we've added that to the range because none of these are actually available, were available before we brought them back to market. I'll just remind you a little bit about what these are and how they're made. This is actually a microcellular polyurethane, which is not a rubber. It's actually a very, very dense foam. So if you've got this under a microscope, it's actually a foam. Inside there's a steel insert, and the way these are made is quite clever, really. What happens is you have a female part of the mould underneath, and then a male part which comes down into the female part, and here you may be able to see these bolts. There's the steel fixture, and that's suspended in the mould, and then the polyurethane is pumped in, and then it's allowed to cure, and then you get this assembly out of it. It's quite an interesting technique, and obviously it doesn't really lend itself to mass manufacture because you can only really make one of these at a time. So it's quite an interesting technique. There were some problems with the original product, which really only became apparent over time, and the first of those was actually just plain rust, because what tended to happen was water would get into very small perforations or holes in the polyurethane. The steel would actually expand as it rusted, and that would tend to pull the steel insert out from the bumper and also cause it to distort. You'd sometimes see them going like that. The other thing that happened was that just the effects of heat, cold and UV light tended to cause the external part of the bumper to cure faster than the internal part, so that actually made it shrink slightly, and that distorted the bumper. So you tend to find that you'll see a lot of cars out there where this, particularly on the rears, they tend to be pulling away from the car. Well, we've made a couple of changes which should get rid of those problems going forward. The first thing we've done is we've made this insert about 50% thicker, so it's stronger and it resists the tendency of this to distort over time. The second thing we've done, which is important, is we've made this insert from stainless steel, so that it won't rust. So these actually should last even longer than the originals. So really quite a nice product. So there's a couple of additions to the range now, which is really why I'm talking to you today. These have literally just come in this week. This is, as some of you may know, a right-hand front quarter bumper, which is fitted to all the four-door cars built from 1980 till about 1995, before they went to the wraparound bumper model. So that's the Silver Spirit, Silver Spur, Flying Spur, the Rolls-Royce, the Bentley Mulsanne Turbo, Bentley 8, Turbo R, and Brooklands. I think that's it. I think I've got them all. So they all have this type of bumper. And the other thing which we've got, we also do the range of inserts, which you may have seen. This fits into that, or rather, it fits into this quarter bumper. So that's the insert. So those are also available in our range. Ready to fit this. This is the centre bumper rubber, which is used on the rear and front of the same range of vehicles as these. This is literally come in. We're about to test this on a car. It's made in a slightly different way. Inside here, there are little clips which actually hook into the rubber mould, and so it's suspended on this. And you may notice that the finish on this is not quite as shiny as it is on this. This is kind of a satin finish. That's because this hasn't had the final process applied to the mould, because at the moment we're just doing a fit check. So there's no point putting the finish on the bumper until we actually know that it fits perfectly well. And we've got a test car that this is going on next Wednesday. So we expect these to be in the market, I imagine, within 5 to 6 weeks, in addition to these. It's become quite a range that we're very proud of here, particularly because these parts are either extremely expensive from Bentley Motors or not available. So obviously we're delighted to be bringing things like that back to market, or to market at a reasonable price. Thanks very much for watching.